apothecary? How can you explain what an apothecary is?
Apothecary is a historical term for what we would now call a pharmacist.
Okay.
Pharmacists went through multiple different names throughout time. At one point we were even called grocers.
Really?
So it's basically a pharmacist, what we would call a pharmacist today.
So what kind of things have you got here?
Well, we have some medicinal herbs and things that we would be making medications with. We also have some tools of the trade, so to speak, on how those medications were made. During the Civil War, there wasn't much for manufacturing. We did have some, mainly in the north, but there wasn't a lot of commercial prepared medications. So everything had to be made as a mass and then broken down into pills or liquids that you would drink from there.
So you've got what, the mortar and pestle here?
Yep, various mortars and pestles. These two are stone, a coarse stone and then a smooth stone. Then we have porcelain and glass. Each one would have its own role. This one's going to be more of a coarse grind, so you would use this for more of your roots, stems like rhubarb, things that are going to need a little more tooth to grind up. Yet the marble's going to be a more finer grind. That's going to be for some of the softer minerals, leaves, things like that. Your porcelain and your glass are going to be more for liquids.
So rhubarb stems, that's what you've got here? And what would you be using that for?
Rhubarb actually helps with some stomach conditions. So depending on how it's made, it can help with some upset stomach issues.
I didn't know that.
Parsley.
Okay.
Frequently seen as garnish on fancy dinners.
Right.
Excellent for bites, spider bites, mosquito bites, things like that. It's a natural antihistamine. And then we have some dried winter sage. That's what it looks like in the leaf form, but then we do have powdered sage.
And what would you use that for?
That is helps with respiratory. So coughs, colds, things like that.
So would they drink it like a tea, or how did they take it?
Depends on what you were trying to do with it. In the case of like a cough syrup, the sage was frequently mixed with garlic. Garlic helps open up airways. We're going to also mix it with lemon, both lemon peel or lemon rind. We would call it lemon zest. But the lemon oils help naturally break up some of that crud that's in your throat. And then we were going to mix it with honey.
Yes.
To help get it to stick in the throat. It also helps it taste better. I mean, especially if you're putting garlic in there. So that way we would drink it, and it would be more of a thicker syrup to try and coat the throat.
Not necessarily a hot tea then. Okay.
Nope. If we were going for stomach issues like our rhubarb, there we would either make it into a pill that we would swallow, or it would be more of a tea or something like that where we're trying to get it to the stomach. Because while we didn't really know how some of these things were actually affecting the body, we knew that we had to get it to the problem spot. So if it was a stomach issue, we knew we had to get it to the stomach. If it was a skin issue, we knew we just had to slather it on the skin, like a mosquito bite or something. So we knew that much. So it would just be formed in however we were trying to get it there.
So this is really interesting. And what is your brooch there? That's beautiful.
This is Connemara marble from Ireland. It's naturally occurring green marble.
Oh, it's beautiful. Is it old?
It is an antique, not quite Civil War antique, but it is an older piece.
Oh, that's beautiful. And how long have you been doing this?
Most of my life.
Oh, really?
Yes, I actually started with Civil War and reenactments when I was probably about 9, 10 years old.
Wow, good for you. And where are you from?
I'm from the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Our battery here is based out of Red Wing,
Okay.
just south of the Twin Cities, right on the river.
Well, it was nice of you to come all the way down here.
Yep,
Good.
This
Well,
is a good event. So,
this is very interesting. Thank you. And what's your name?
Amanda Wendell.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Very interesting.
Crosshatch, we call it. You call it that, or you call it grid? Whatever you call it grid. You're too.
So what have you got here?
What we have here is artillery ammunition.
Oh, okay. Is this right? You're the second Minnesota
Minnesota battery.
of
yes.
light artillery. Okay.
Yes.
What's the difference between light artillery and what? Heavy artillery?
That's correct. It's kind of a vague title. Light artillery was generally field artillery that was pulled by 6 horses on an open field. Heavy artillery was generally heavier guns, up to 30-pound shot, and they required probably 8 horses to pull those things. So there's a line, a fine line there. Heavy artillery also included mortars. And I don't have any mortar ammunition here, but everything else here is authentic, either reproduction or original. We have an original shell. This is case shot down here. This has been sawed in half, but it shows you how it works. This is a fuse in a fuse plug. And when the timed fuse gets to the end, it lights a powder train, goes down to explosive charge and blows everything up.
It looks like, so what is this in
These
here?
are musket balls.
Oh, okay.
Musket balls have been put in here. This is pine tar pitch to keep them in place once it solidifies. But when that blows up, then it goes everywhere.
Oh boy. So it's like shrapnel.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrible stuff.
Terrible stuff. This is a Hotchkiss canister round. All these shells were fired out of the gun up there.
Okay.
But this is our latest acquisition. This is a Parrot canister. It's a tin can. There's 69 quantity, 69 caliber musket balls inside that. Weighs about 7 pounds.
And what does it say on it? It's where it was made?
It says Hotchkiss 3-inch January 7th, 1862, and a patent. So he patented this round for the 10-pound Parrot rifle.
So where was this made? They must have had, what, factories that produced it?
Oh yeah, they had factories basically out east.
Okay.
Pennsylvania. The man who invented the Parrot gun was from Pennsylvania. And this was the first of the rifled artillery that was widespread throughout the war.
So somebody made money off it.
Of course.
What else have you got here? What is this thing that said, grape shot?
This is grape shot, 12-pound size, and it's measured by the diameter of the bore on the gun. So this is a Napoleon-sized round.
Okay.
And when this goes off, there's one nut here that holds the whole thing together. This is blown off, everything comes apart. There's 9 grape shot balls in there, and that was the forerunner of the canister.
Wow. And that's pretty nasty too, isn't it?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be in the way.
No. And then this is the fuses?
These are different types of fuses. This is a 4-second, 5-second, and 8-second fuse. These are friction primers. This was used to set the gun off when you pull the lanyard. This is what they look like.
Oh, okay.
A friction primer. And the lanyard is hooked in that loop, and when it's pulled, the gun goes off.
So was this reusable or not?
No.
Once was it, huh?
Yep.
Okay. And this one must be authentic, it says.
That's a real one, dug out of the Mississippi River.
They figure from Vicksburg?
Vicksburg, yes.
Wowee. That is really something. And then the spherical case and the solid shot. Very interesting. And then what is this?
This is a sight. These were used on the 6-pounder guns. If you look real close, there's a scale on here. It goes up to 5 degrees up here.
Okay.
Your range was on a chart on the inside of the limber chest, and if you had to shoot a far distance, you would set this to 4 degrees or greater. And this would mount on the back of the barrel, and you would sight right through here and line the crown of the barrel up so you get your angle.
Okay.
That gives you your angle, and the type of angle was printed on the inside of the limber chest. You'll see that when you get up to the gun up there.
So who usually did the sighting?
The gunner.
Okay.
The gunner did all of that, aimed the gun, set the angle, and
Okay.
you'll see that through the process that they do up there.
So once the gun shot, then I suppose they had to re-sight it?
Yes, because your target may have moved closer, probably closer.
And didn't the gun kind of, go back?
Depends on the ground it sits on.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it could stay in place.
Well, no, it wouldn't. Those guns have a recoil, and they move back once a shot is in there. They move back about 6 feet,
Okay.
depending again on the ground.
Okay.
And you would have to move it back into position to its original point to re-sight.
Now, what you're wearing, and you've got your jacket there over behind the chair,
The jacket is a light artillery shell.
and it would always have the red piping on it?
Red piping. Yep.
Okay. And then what do you have on your chest there? You have some medals?
Well, these are medals that I've earned over the years. This is the forerunner of the American Legion.
Oh, okay.
This is the, and even I've forgotten.
Well, it's a lot to keep track of.
This is a commemorative of the 125th Civil War period.
The cross.
Yes.
It looks like a German iron cross,
Yes,
doesn't it?
Patterned after that.
Uh-huh.
This one is dedicated to Lincoln's funeral.
Oh my goodness.
We reenacted that one in Springfield, Illinois. And likewise, this is a commemorative to Lincoln's tomb.
So are you from Red Wing?
I am from Red Wing, yes.
And how long have you been doing this?
I forgot.
More than a couple of years?
My hair was another color when I started.
Okay. Oh, this is great. And they are going to fire off that
Oh yeah,
piece.
11
o'clock.
11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. This has been very interesting. I guess these are the boxes that they hauled the ammo in?
Yes, all of this stuff came in these boxes, but this is set up for a 6-pound gun.
Okay. And then, so how did these ammunition boxes get to the guns?
They would be loaded in very stout, strong wagons and delivered to the troops on the field when needed, usually after a battle, because they carried about a load of about 200 rounds in a limber and a caisson.
Okay.
So about 200 rounds in per gun.
That must have been a real dangerous thing to be doing, was hauling ammunition.
Yes, they have been known to explode, usually through jarring, depending on if they have an impact fuse. This is an impact fuse, and if it's put together and nose down and there's bouncing going on,
Okay.
that could go off
Oh boy.
and blow up the. So it's very. You have to have a man who knows what he's doing on that chest.
So this is a carriage brake chain?
It's a brake chain. There's one on that gun up there.
Okay.
All field artillery came with them. It was used to keep the gun, if you were on a slope, to keep the gun from rolling downhill.
Oh, I'm sure. You'd have to have something like that. Oh, that's really
Or if
interesting.
you had to tow a gun downhill, you would put the brake chain
Sure.
on and drag it downhill.
like a picture, man?
Hi there.
Hello, I'm from our community television. If you want to
okay.
talk to me a little bit.
Well, I'm Private Richie,
Okay.
and we have Private Graves.
Private Graves and
This is Mrs. Graves.
And you, okay. That's and he was telling me that the artillery uniforms always had that red piping.
Yep,
correct.
yep.
Really
If
fancy.
you saw yellow on it, it would be cavalry.
Okay.
If you saw sky blue, light blue, it would be infantry.
Oh, okay. That's
And the other thing you
interesting.
can see, if you look at the top of his cap,
Congratulate
Oh, I got to see the top of his head.
history. His name was George B. McClellan.
Uh-huh.
Lincoln didn't like McClellan because he would always work with the army, but they were never ready to fight.
Yep.
But he is the one who organized the army, and he's the one who gave you that blue, red, and yellow uniforms.
Oh, that's it. And they're what, made out of wool, I take
they
it?
are
oh
made
yeah,
out
are
of
they
wool.
ever?
And we've done demonstrations in areas where it's nearly 100 degrees,
Oh.
and it's hot.
Yep.
Did they never have like a cotton or
Well,
something?
if you were lucky, you had a cotton undershirt, especially in the South. They would have had
Oh.
access to the cotton,
I can't
but
imagine.
that was pretty hard.
Yeah.
Well, you'll notice something else too. Notice I'm wearing a bow tie.
Oh.
They dress pretty formally in a way
This is something they wore every day?
every day. This is normal wear.
And how did they wash it?
They didn't.
Oh, no.
You know,
I didn't want to tell her.
you got it
laundress
washed
would
if
be
you
paid to
the next
wash
time.
their underwear, their socks, and their shirts.
Oh, okay, well, I just, wondered. I mean, it's not easy to wash wool without it.
Woolite.
Well,
Yeah.
you got washed the next time you had to ford a stream.
Oh,
Right,
Lord.
you walk through the stream. What I've got here is an example of Civil War era small arms,
Okay.
handguns and long guns. And the thing I try to emphasize to everybody is that, like it happens in a lot of wars, it was a technological change. When the war started, we had an army of about 16,000 people, and in various armories around the country, north and south, they had weapons, but most of the weapons in those armories were from the last war, were obsolete, 69 caliber smoothbore muskets and all this.
So you're saying when the Civil War started, that's what they had?
They had,
Okay.
there was, probably a couple 100,000 arms in all of these things spread around, but most of them were obsolete, okay? And a year after the Civil War, if you count both the North and the South, you've got almost 1 million men under arms, and so they had a big shortage of arms. And so one of the things that both the Union and the Confederates did was go to Europe. And the Europeans were very happy to unload every old piece of junk they had in their armories for cash money, for gold and silver, or in the case of the South, cotton.
Okay.
Right? And so this is an example.
What is that one now?
This is a French fusil. This is a French musket. It's 71 caliber, and this gun was made in 1845. So this thing was already 15 years old, and it's a smoothbore musket, and this is one of 40,000 that the Union government bought just because they needed to get arms for people. Okay, and
They didn't
so
have any ammunition for it.
Yeah.
right.
Oh, gosh.
And so the primary weapon for both the North and the South was this. This is a Springfield rifle musket.
Okay.
This particular one was made in 1864. It's dated, right? And it's a 58 caliber muzzle loading gun. And if you were issued one of these, you were given a cartridge box. And this is a cartridge box. It has 40 rounds of ammunition in it.
That's what they did.
And this would be around your shoulder, and you'd get your ammunition in little packets like this. And on the end of the packet is a 58 caliber musket ball. And so you would take that packet, you would rip it open with your teeth, pour the powder down the barrel, then seat the musket ball with your finger or your thumb. Then you've got to get your ramrod out.
While people are shooting at you.
While people
Yeah.
are shooting at you, right? You got to get it all down. And they get mad if I put holes in their tents, so I have to be careful. And then you're not done yet.
You gotta put the cap on.
you've got to put a musket cap on it. And this is a musket cap.
Now you're fiddling around with this tiny little thing while people are shooting at you.
Oh,
That's
And
the
you're going to
musket
put
cap.
that on the end of this.
well, it's tiny, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
You have to put this on
Right
the
here.
nipple right there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It goes right there. Okay.
Okay.
Can you fire
And
it
now
back?
you're ready to fire. You've loaded it and the whole business, and you've got to be able to do that 3 times a minute while people are shooting at you.
Now, can you see 40 rounds? You're going to go through them real quick.
Yep.
And so
And so that's how it would
they
work.
would take the ammunition off casualties because that's the only place they could get it.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to delay you because they're going to fire the gun in about 5 or 6 minutes.
Oh, is it? I thought they said 11.
I don't know.
I think
Yeah, I'll get over
according
there
to my
too.
wife,
Technological change. This is a Spencer rifle. Mr. Spencer invented a rifle that's a 7-shot repeater. It loads through has
Oh.
a magazine in the butt,
Oh, that's
And it's on a
was
spring.
different, wasn't it?
right?
Yes.
And you push it down like that. You have to cock it, but you don't have to have a musket cap because it shoots. I can find it real quickly. What we would recognize as modern ammunition. That is a 56 caliber rimfire cartridge.
So this is what the cavalry would have used in,
Cavalry
like,
would
in the
have used
Indian
the carbine
Wars.
Yes.
version
Yeah.
of this, and there was also a rifle version of this that was issued to the infantry.
Okay.
Okay,
Everybody wanted
So-
one of these.
yeah, and that's a Henry rifle.
And that's a repeater,
That
isn't
is
it?
also a repeater, just
Uh-huh.
like the Spencer is a
17,
repeater.
is it? Am I correct on that?
And it shoots a 44 caliber rimfire round, and it was probably the big technological thing that went on. The main thing about the Henry, however, is that they only made 14,000 of them in their entire run from 1860 to 1865. And right after the Civil War, this guy who was in the shirt making business by the name of Oliver Winchester bought the Henry Rifle Company. And they're still making Winchesters today.
Is that out in Connecticut? Mm-hmm. Yeah, my great uncle worked for them.
Yep.
He did, yeah. After
Small
World
world.
After World War I, that's where he went to work.
Yeah, and so
So are any of these other Springfields? Or just the
that's
one?
the only Springfield
Okay.
I've got there. The other, well, actually, no, there is another Springfield. This is model 1855 Springfield.
Well, I bet
And-
those are heavy, aren't they?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know how they carried them. And they had to march for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
don't know
can't
how
believe
it
it.
weighs about
yeah.
10 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
And so this is an 1855, and you see this little door here?
The little trap door.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Behind this door, you're familiar with a cap pistol? You know, it had a roll of caps.
Sure.
A guy by the name of Maynard invented the Maynard tape primer. He wanted to get away from having to put a musket cap on, and so this would have had a roll of caps. And the theory was every time you cocked the hammer, the cap would advance over the nipple and you could
Okay.
fire it. However, what happens if it's raining? It's a roll of paper caps.
Yeah.
And so most of them, it was a technology that didn't really work, and so most of them were converted just to shoot musket caps.
This is, and I can imagine putting those little caps on.
Oh,
Wouldn't
that's
you
nothing.
be afraid of dropping it?
Oh, they dropped many of them.
here, let's take that.
Oh yeah, now you got the bayonet. Well, no, I was going to say
Want
that's
little
not
caps?
a bayonet.
How about those?
Oh, that's just.
Those are pistol caps.
Oh my goodness.
Because if you had a revolver, the odds are you had either a Colt revolver or a Remington revolver. And like that musket, these are really muzzle loaders too. Basically, you'd get your ammunition in a little packet like that. Okay?
Okay.
And each one of those little papers contains gunpowder. So you take one of those out, you'd put it down in there, You then have to tamp it down. You got to do that for all 6 cylinders. And then you have to
you had to tamp a pistol too. I
Yep.
didn't realize that.
and then you'd have to get one of those little bitty pistol caps
Oh my
and put them on
goodness.
the nipple on the end of each one of the cylinders, right? And now you're ready to fire.
And you get exactly 6 shots. And
Exactly.
then you have to start over.
And so,
And if the other guys only used 5 and you used 6,
yep.
Wow.
So this was the standard issue gun for most people. There was also,
I wanna make sure you get Michael's name. He's our expert on small guns.
don't claim to be an expert,
Well,
He's our expert.
okay, you're expert. Michael who? What's your name?
Michael Ritchie.
Okay, Michael. This is
sounds like a rock star.
Yeah, I
Well,
wish.
Each one of us in the Second Minnesota have an expertise, and those that don't shuttle ammunition for the gun.
oh
And we're going to fire that very shortly.
yeah, I'll have to get over to see that.
This,
I happen to do battles and lectures
Okay.
and
Are
generals.
are these rifled?
yeah, they're rifled. They're
Okay.
actuals.
And
But this is a Colt.
okay.
This is a Remington. And between the Colts and the Remingtons, that's the main handguns that were issued.
Now the Springfield, they also used that in World War I.
Well, Springfield Armory is still in existence.
And
They're still
Smith-
making guns at the Springfield
Smith and
Armory in
Wesson is.
Massachusetts.
Okay.
There's a lot of ones that
Yeah.
were available in the Civil War
Yep.
that are still running.
During the course of the Civil War, because there was such a shortage of weapons, the Union hired 32 different companies. We'd call them defense contractors. I don't know what they called them in 1861 to make these. And the records show that over 1 million of these were made by Springfield, the Springfield Armory, and the 32 subcontractors that also made these. Right? The British Enfield, hundreds of thousands of those were imported from Great Britain.
That's interesting too, because in World War I they tried to get the American troops to use the Enfields,
Yeah,
and
but
they
it
didn't want them. They wanted the Springfields.
Yeah, but that was a completely different gun.
Oh really?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
not these though. By
Okay.
then they had bolt action repeating arms.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Could I pick up the Springfield just to see how heavy it is?
Sure.
You can, but use all.
Oh my goodness! I wouldn't want to be carrying that all day.
Yeah.
And how would
That's
you like to hold it
heavy.
up straight and aim it at something?
Oh gosh, and I bet they kick too, huh?
Oh yeah, they do. And you want to know what they carried? Let me show you a picture somewhere.
About how many pounds did they carry on their back
Well,
or their
I
pack?
can answer that best if I can find the picture. Where did I put it? It's here somewhere.
Because they're always comparing wars and how much people had to carry.
Yeah, it gets heavier every year.
I'm sure.
Oh, I know where it is. It's right there. That's what the infantry
okay.
soldier carried.
Wow.
The weight they carried.
So it was, okay, average weight of the soldier was 143 pounds.
Right.
And so he was probably carrying, this all adds up.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
That's what they've got.
Well, that's interesting.
And you can have that one if you
Well,
want.
thank you. Yeah, I will. I
Yeah,
appreciate
so that's what
that.
they've got. And again, you're a Civil War soldier. And you're in the infantry. And they say, okay, we're going to go on the march. Okay? And today, you're going to carry all of that stuff, and you're going to walk down, if you're lucky, a dusty old road. If you're unlucky, a muddy old road. And you're going to carry all that stuff, and we're going to go to La Crosse. You're going to hike that far. Right? And so that's what they were doing.
It is amazing how far that they ended up marching in the Civil War.
Yeah, they
It's
called,
amazing.
General Jackson's soldiers,
Yeah.
the
His
cavalry.
his foot cavalry, right? I read about that. Those
They could march faster, further than any other unit around, and it would usually mean that Jackson and his troops were in position to win the battle.
Yeah, I had just read a book about his foot cavalry and walking in the Shenandoah, and that was really interesting. It's just, it's amazing. You know, I had a great uncle in World War I, and about all he would ever say, well, he said it was a lot of marching with heavy packs.
Well, that's
So
what you
I'm
got
sure
there.
it was.
The 11th Wisconsin was called the Marching 11th. So there was actually a nickname after the fact that they just marched.
Oh gosh. We had an interesting thing up, you know, Independence, which is where I'm from. It's up the road here. They had a family where the oldest son was killed at Cold Harbor.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Never found, never, you know, just probably obliterated. And then his brother, he had a brother that was killed in World War I.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the father had married, you know, first wife died, he married again, younger woman, and had another set of children. But that I always thought was pretty amazing.
My wife is from Eastern Ohio. She's one of the quilt ladies over
Okay.
there. And she actually had two of her great uncles killed in the same battle during the Civil War.
Oh, boy.
Battle of Stones River, or
Yeah.
Murfreesboro, depending on
Oh,
which
that's,
side you're
yeah,
on.
Tennessee, yeah.
Yeah,
There.
and two of her uncles were killed at the same battle. Again, great uncles.
Yeah.
This is a mini ball. This is the
Ooh.
standard cartridge that went into that Enfield or that
Okay. Oh, okay.
Springfield rifle. See, it's not round.
No, huh?
And so round balls were shot out of smoothbore guns. There's a round ball, right? So that old
Okay.
thing would have shot a round ball.
Okay.
Right. And the mini ball was invented by a French army officer by the name of
Mini.
Claude Etienne Minet.
Mr. Minet. Huh?
And if you'll notice, the bottom is hollow.
Okay.
And so what happens is you fire this, these grooves would be full of a lubricant, okay? So you could get it down the barrel easier. You fire this and it expands and grabs the rifling. And so now all of a sudden with this gun or the Enfield gun, you've got a gun accurate to a couple hundred yards, even further if you're a really good
A
shot.
couple hundred yards, you'd be all the way across this parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they could hit anything they wanted. When they were using smoothbore guns shooting round balls, accurate to 50 yards, 60 yards.
Tell me what this is.
This is a replica of a 10-pound Parrott rifle.
Okay. And this was considered light artillery?
This is light artillery.
Okay.
Light artillery is anything that can be horse-drawn.
All right. Well, how did they move the heavy artillery?
They didn't.
Heavy
Oh,
artillery was typically more commonly found in forts or in a stationary.
okay.
Ships.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah. Huh. And so what does this shoot? Do you have cannonballs or what did they shoot out of
Well,
here?
We're just going to shoot powder here.
Okay.
We're not going to put anything live. I don't think the neighbors would really appreciate that. But for demonstration purposes, we're just going to shoot powder.
Okay. But
But we have a whole display over here of all the different types of ammunition that this,
right.
this piece will shoot.
I did talk to the one gentleman over there.
The bolt is what this would shoot.
Okay.
10-pound bolt.
Okay.
The spherical type shells.
Okay.
These don't, although this particular gun can shoot cannonballs.
So what was the process if you were going to shoot this gun? What was the first thing that they would do?
First thing that we'd do is number 3 would come up to the vent here and cover the vent so that no air or anything can go in here.
Okay.
Second thing would be number 1 would get his sponge wet
Okay.
and he would push the sponge down the tube. That is pushing out the air and
Oomph.
the water puts out the flames back here.
The
Okay.
sound you heard was by him closing off the vent.
Okay.
When I pull this out, we create a vacuum. And so
Okay.
what you hear was the air rushing back into the tube.
Okay.
So that, if there's a vacuum made, no fire can be in a vacuum.
Right. Okay, so that was they put that in and then
Then number 2 would be inside the wheel here.
Yeah.
And
See, we have this little contraption it's called a worm.
A worm,
And what we
okay.
do is, that takes out any obstructions that are still inside the gun. Pull it all out. So everything has to be squeaky clean inside the gun there in order for everything to function properly.
Wow, okay.
So then once the barrel is clean, someone will walk up around, they'll hand it to number 2.
Yep.
He'll insert the charge into the barrel, and I'll use the other end.
And that's the rammer right there.
Oh, okay.
Take and push the charge to the back of the breech,
Okay.
ram it home, and then they'll take and punch a hole in the gunpowder sack here, put a friction primer on, and it's ready to go.
So how long did that take?
Oh, 25, 30 seconds.
So
If we had to, we could fire 3 rounds a minute.
you do it what?
If we had to, this gun could fire 3 rounds a minute.
3 rounds a minute. Okay. Okay. So now when you fire it, there's recoil, correct?
Correct.
And
Yes.
how far back would it go?
If you were on soft ground like we're at right now, probably not very far, but
Okay.
it might go a couple of feet. If you were up on that hard pan gravel back there, it could go back 10 or 15 feet. So if you notice when we'll fire, the 4 men that are up on the front of the gun will always be on the outside of the wheel so that when it does move, you don't get run over. Because this particular gun, the barrel weighs 900 pounds and the carriage weighs another 900 pounds.
my
So
goodness.
that's 1,800 pounds that's going to be moving backwards. So you can easily get run over. So you'll see the crew, they'll always be on the outside of the wheels
Wow.
when we're firing.
That's fascinating.
And we're going to fire. We're going to.
Yes, I know. So I had to get over here. Now I have a quick question.
Sure.
My great uncle was in the field artillery in World War I. How would this gun have differed from what he was probably dealing with?
What he was dealing with would definitely have been a breech loader.
Okay.
Instead of loading it from the front of the gun, there would be
Oh, in the
some
back.
type of a breech that the lever
Okay.
could open it up, and they would insert a shell into the back and close
Okay.
it off.
Right.
And they wouldn't have to use a friction primer. They use some type of a striking device that would hit the outside of
Okay.
the shell, and that's what would touch off a modern
Okay.
weapon.
So that was the biggest difference probably.
Well, and using different types of gunpowders. This gun shoots black powder,
Uh-huh.
and because of its composition, it's only going to be able to shoot a projectile so far. This gun will shoot almost three miles.
Wow.
But
Oh my God.
but the modern weapons, you can have artillery that'll fire 25, 30 miles with the modern powders.
Yeah. So my other last question is, who sighted the guns?
The gunner.
Okay.
The gunner was, well, in our case today, there's a corporal here. If you look, and he's got a couple of
Okay.
chevrons on his uniform. He's in command of the gun when it's in action. He'll take his orders. He'll be given what he's to shoot at, and then from there on, he'll direct the fire and to actually aim this piece. Let me just set this down. But there's a sight that fits on here. It's called a stadia sight, and the gunner will stay back in a position like this, and he'll look down. And so for his elevation, he can move the gun up and down like so, and then we'll have with the hand spike, we'll have another man, and the gunner will just tap, and you can move it from side to side.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Change it, and
Sure.
just a little slight
Right.
movement here makes a big difference downrange.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm going to watch you shoot this off. So this is what they call a limber,
Yes, ma'am. This is a lumber chest.
and this is what carried the ammunition.
Yes.
And that was my question: is who hauled the ammunition up to the guns? It had to be a scary job.
Position number 5 and number 7. This is called the gunner's haversack.
Okay.
The round would come out of here, and the gunpowder would go in this pouch. And then, when called for, he would carry it up to the number 2 position, who would load them both in the gun.
Okay.
Back here at the chest was a corporal, and he overseed the cutting of the fuses. These are your different timed fuses.
And what were they made out of? It was like what?
It was a black powder that was hard, and this is called the table of fire. So these are your different types of, you have K-shot and shell. K-shot is, the shell is hollow and it has gunpowder in it with steel balls.
Okay.
Shell is just the same cartridge with no steel ball. And so once the gunner, the corporal, figures out the range, he calls back the range and we look. So to go 1,460 yards, the fuse has to burn for 4 3/4 seconds.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So I have a man at the chest that I'm overseeing, making sure that he cuts these fuses with the fuse cutter to the correct length. They burn so many, there's markings on the fuse that burn so many inches per second.
I was going to say, how did they measure it? But they had it marked on there?
Yes, the fuse, I don't have, I think he has one over there. If you want to watch from the beginning.
Sure, all right.
We'll be firing it twice.
Thank you.
Okay.
And so...
They're going to go through every step here.
Are you the gunner?
Me and him are both gunners.
Okay.
Parrot rifle cannon.
My job is, I oversee the men that are cutting the fuses. We have a paper time fuse that goes in the shell. It's tapered, it has some markings on it. The table of fire tells you, say this K-shot at 930 yards, the fuse has to burn 3 seconds. So it takes 3 seconds to go 930 yards. So the gunner will figure out the distance. He'll tell me how long the fuse has to burn. I'll oversee to make sure that they're cutting the fuse to the proper length and they're putting the correct ammunition into the bag. Also, behind the limber, 150 yards back, is called the caisson. Basically looks like 2 limbers put together. If you've ever seen any of the presidential barriers, that's the caisson that they use. My job is also to the men back here, they have to run and keep this ammunition chest full at all times. We have 50 rounds in the chest of various types. We have K-shot, which is just a hollow cylinder filled with gunpowder. It flies, it explodes, the fragments come down. Shell will have the hollow case with like 69 caliber round balls mixed in also, so that can rain down. Another shot was the bolt, a solid piece that's made for like knocking down walls or fortification. The last one, the shell of last resort, is called canister. It's he has one up there. It's nothing but a large tin can full of about 70, 69 caliber balls. That turns this into a large shotgun. The effective range is about 600 yards. We didn't like to have to use that because at the time with the new rifled muskets, they could start hitting us at 600 yards. So that would be kind of a last case. So my job is to make sure that this is always full of ammunition, and if we have to move, we can go quickly.
What's maximum range?
About 3 miles. 5,000 yards.
Ooh.
Maximum effective range is mile, mile and a half.
Wow. Wow.
At 1 mile, like within 3 shots, we can put it through the window of the vehicle.
No kidding. Wow.
Make sure there's no fire back there because fire and black powder just don't mix too well. Worm! Since we fire aluminum cartridges, make sure that the barrel is clean. Dry sponge. Round forward. Insert round. Ram the round. You notice he has his hands open as he's sitting there pushing that pack. Because if he had a grip on it and was ramming it and it goes off, he couldn't open up his hand fast enough. Sight the piece. I can use the screw here for increasing the elevation or depressing the elevation. And then I can use my right hand here to tap one side. Number 4 will move it that way. Tap it this side. Number 4 will move it this way. That is how the piece is sighted. Piece is sighted. Prime. Punch a hole into the powder sack. Put in the friction primer. Now we have everybody outside the wheels, so when this thing, if it goes back, no one's going to get ran over. Come to the ready. Fire!
Whoa!
Holy man.
Whoa!
Okay, that's how you train, by the numbers. So where everybody just has it down rote. But now, you have 6 cannons going off. For one battery, you might have 10 batteries or more online. Everybody's firing. I can't yell that loud to sit there over all that cannon fire. So, this is how it is done during the battle. Without detail, with cartridge, load. Everybody knows their position. There's only one person moving at a time. He's a good fisherman, he caught it this time. You notice there's hand signals going on here because with all the noise going on, number 1 sitting there saying he's ready for a round. Number 2 is saying he's ready. Come to the ready. Fire.
Peace. Whoa. What did they do for ear protection, if anything?
What? Nothing.
None of us can hear.
This is your ear protection.
Nothing. Yep. Just use your hands, hold your ears, that sort of thing.
But with all of those going off, I can't imagine anybody had any, hearing left.
No, artillery. Your hearing went pretty quick.
I'll bet.
Artillerymen, especially when you had a whole regiment of guns. I mean, back in 2013, we were at the 150th at Gettysburg, and we had 60 guns online. On a 90-degree day, 70% humidity, and not a breeze, and all those guns fired at 1 second intervals, and we could not see the gun on either side of us, and we were hub to hub. Yeah.
Well, I would imagine all that smoke that comes out, or whatever you call
absolutely,
it.
Absolutely.
How could they see what they were doing then?
Well, the thing is that after a while you drill so often that it's just a reflex. It's just a reflex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know exactly what everybody else is doing. So, and that's a well-trained gun crew. Oh yeah.
But I still can't imagine they couldn't figure out that you needed some kind of ear protection.
Ear protection, but I'll tell you what, in warfare, that's the last thing on your mind.
I suppose.
Especially when you're manning a battery of guns and you're actively being shot at besides.
Right.
You're not too concerned about that. You just want to send something flying downrange so that they are worried about you, that sort of thing.
Having the 1st Brigade Band, we were going to do breakfast and lunch.
And that's the Arnold family, obviously?
Yep, this is the Arnolds from about, oh, hey, Nancy. This is from about 1899. I think it was their 30th wedding anniversary because Archie and Molly, the two oldest, were already married at that point.
Oh, okay.
And they were married in 1869. And so this is 1899. They actually had 2 other children who passed away young. Roy and Kitty, they died at 1 and 5.
Who was the youngest daughter in that picture?
The girl with the cat.
Yes. She must have been something.
I think so.
Her husband, the father looks so stern, and she's got her cat there in the picture.
Yeah, well, Captain Arnold would have been about 66 in that photo, and Beulah was about 11.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she kind of ran Rickshot or whatever you say over Dad. This painting we didn't even know existed until a few years ago. It was done in the late 1800s, and we got a call from an auction house saying it was up for sale. The gentleman that owned it found it in a thrift store in Walla Walla, Washington.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Archie, the oldest son, after he got married, they went out there to start an apple orchard. It's called it a New York style barn.
Yes.
And it was very unusual.
One jail, but here's the big jail here.
The youngest grandson said that they called that the instant well, they were watching the work So, yeah, he helped bring the railroad to town. He was a trustee for Old Main. He taught some classes there. That's where he met his second wife, Mary Douglas. He actually, after he came here and got settled in 1857, he actually went back to New York and married his first wife, Hattie, and brought her back here to Galesville. They had a little girl named Blanche. When Blanche was about 1.5 years old, Hattie died, and we don't know why. And then he took little Blanche to New York to stay with his sister while he went off to fight the Civil War. And then he got a telegraph that she had died also.
Oh, wow.
So he's going off to fight for his country, and he's lost his wife, and he's lost his daughter. But then, while he was teaching at Old Main at Gale College, he met his second wife, Mary Douglas, from Melrose, and supposedly was the first white child born in Jackson County. First white girl born in Jackson County. So her family came here as true settlers, true pioneers. They didn't have nothing when they came here, built up a business. So we've got just some other quick points, like we've got this lithograph that Captain Arnold had done. This was actually printed in this book of the Historical Atlas of Wisconsin in 1878. Wow. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, we've got a few other pieces. Like I said, we just got this couple of these chairs back.
Nice.
We have, in this room here.
Are these the original fixtures?
This one is, yep.
Wow.
We actually have this from about 1906. And this one here actually shows Captain Arnold. This one here actually shows Captain That was married up to 75, the second one.
I understand. It would also take probably the dining room.
Artillery was generally field artillery that was pulled by 6 horses.
Okay. Oh. This is something they wore every day?
See this little door here?
Little trap door?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Behind this door, you familiar with cap pistol? That roll cap?
Sure.
A guy by the name of Cops is ready!